Free audio post-production by Alphonic.com.
Welcome to the Blair Better Health Project. I'm Cyrus Blair Diaz, a licensed mental health counselor based out of New York, also licensed in New Jersey, Florida, and Massachusetts. Thank you for joining me. Before we begin, I'd like to share an important disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. While I draw on my professional training and clinical experiences, this podcast is not a substitute for therapy, psychological treatment, medical advice, or a therapeutic relationship. Every person's experiences and circumstances are unique. The information shared here should not be used to diagnose or treat any mental health condition. If you're struggling with your mental health or have concerns about your emotional well-being, I encourage you to seek support from a qualified mental health professional in your area. If you are experiencing a mental health emergency or are concerned that you might be at risk of harming yourself or someone else, call your local emergency services or go to the nearest emergency department immediately. With that said, I'm glad you're here. I hope these conversations provide practical tools, fresh perspectives, and encouragement as you continue your journey towards better mental health. Let's play a quick game I call, Is It Time for Therapy? Or am I just going to keep powering through until I snap? And before you roll your eyes, hear me out, because a lot of people already know they need help. The hard part is actually getting the help. So I'm going to go through a bunch of signs. And as you listen, I want you to notice what your brain does. Does it say, yeah, that's me? Then immediately follow it up with, but it's not that bad. Or, I don't have time. Or, I'll handle it later. If that's you, you're exactly who I'm talking to. Okay. First category, relationships. If you're the toxic friend or the toxic partner, and I don't mean you're a little quirky or if you vent sometimes. I mean, who doesn't do that? You notice patterns like you explode, you guilt people, you twist things around, you ghost, you keep score, you're petty, you crave drama, you can't apologize, or you turn a conversation into a trial. If that's you, therapy is not a punishment. It's a way to learn skills you were never taught. And on the flip side, if you have toxic friends, if your friends feel like walking on eggshells, or if you feel drained after every interaction, or if you keep accepting disrespect because you don't want conflict, therapy can help you see why you tolerate what you tolerate, and more importantly, how to change it. Here's the big one. If more than one person you love has urged you to get help, not one person in an argument, I mean multiple people at different times saying something like, I'm worried about you, or this isn't like you, or I think you should really talk to someone. When people who care about you independently arrive to the same conclusion, that's data. That's not hate. That's a signal. Another sign, you can't cope with what's happening in the world. And yes, that includes political stress. Some people feel like they're constantly bracing for impact, constantly doom scrolling, constantly on edge, whether it's Donald Trump and all his nonsense, or any other headline that makes your stomach cringe and drop. If the news has you spiraling, therapy can help you to stabilize your nervous system so you're not living in a constant state of threat. Let's talk about joy, or lack thereof. If you've lost interest in things that used to be fun, things that matter, things that you used to look forward to. If everything feels like effort, like you just don't want to. If you keep saying, I'm just tired, but it's been months. It's not laziness. That can be depression, burnout, grief, chronic stress, or emotional exhaustion. And it's way more common than people are willing to admit. Sometimes the sign is simple. Your doctor suggested. If a medical professional is saying it might be helpful to talk to someone, that's not them brushing you off. That's them recognizing that stress, anxiety, trauma can be overwhelming, and it shows up in the body as well. Therapy can be a part of your health plan. not a separate category called only if I'm falling apart. Now here's one I love because it's almost funny until it's not. If you feel overwhelmed by a small list of things, if you feel overwhelmed by a big list of things, if you just feel overwhelmed all the time, everything feels like so much, even basic tasks, even decisions, what's for dinner, what to wear, things like that should not be trivial. Even text, even making simple phone calls. If your brain treats every demand like an emergency, something is out of balance, and therapy helps to get your balance back on track. Let's talk about boundaries. If you don't know how to say no and actually mean it, therapy can help. If you say yes while you're angry about it, if you agree, then resent. If you're constantly over available, if you feel guilty for not having needs, if you feel guilty for having needs, if boundaries feel like being mean, or if you truly don't know how to start building boundaries without blowing up your relationships, that is literally what therapy is for. Next up, coping behaviors around food, sleep. If you stress eat, if you binge eat, if food is the only comfort that feels predictable, if you're not sleeping or you're sleeping too much, or you've been in bed for 8 hours, but you wake up feeling tired, that's not restful sleep. That's stressful sleep. I'm not talking about the occasional bad week. I mean patterns that are starting to feel like your default setting. That's your body asking for support. Therapy is one place you can learn coping skills that don't leave you feeling worse afterwards. Let's address parenting because I'm going to say something a lot of people don't want to say out loud. A lot of us think that yelling is a parenting staple, and it doesn't have to be. Your kids, they will listen to you without you having to yell at them. It's all about the way that you establish patterns of communication. If your kids are getting on your nerves just by being kids, just by existing loudly, asking questions, needing attention, taking up space, you're not an automatic bad parent. You might be depleted. You can be overwhelmed. Kids can be overwhelming. You might be overstimulated. Kids become overstimulated and adults become overstimulated. Kids burn out, adults burn out. Kids can feel unsupported, adults can feel unsupported. Kids can be triggered, adults can be triggered. Your kids can be carrying too much and you can be carrying too much. And therapy can help you to respond instead of react. And if I'm being honest, this list can go on and on because there are 1,000 ways people end up needing therapy, not just the few things that I happen to mention here. These are just some of the things that I come across on a daily basis as a therapist. But there is the one part that I really want you to remember. Needing therapy and getting therapy are two different things. I have a lot of clients who have a lot of insight, and it's great. It's great that I don't have to tell you what's wrong and what's going on. But then they do nothing about it. They say, yeah, Cyrus, I totally agree with you. I totally see, why that's not working for me. Session after session, this is still not working for me. What have you done? What's different? What has changed? If the answer is nothing, then of course it's still not working for you. You've become complacent and you tell yourself every Sunday that you're ready to make change. And by Wednesday, you're back to where you were before. So if you've heard yourself in any part of today's episode, let this be your sign to stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time does not exist. The goal isn't to be less busy. The goal is to feel more stable inside the busy. If you want more bite-sized therapy insights, follow the podcast so you don't miss my future episodes. And if you're ready to actually start the process, you can find me at BlairDiazCounseling.com. My schedule fills up quickly, guys. And if I were you, I'd rather you get in and we could start working together than you just keep waiting and time keeps passing you. You're looking for the right time. One day you become explosive or, you destroy relationships that you've been working so hard to build in a split second because though you have the insight, and I know that you do, you haven't done anything about it.
Free audio post-production by Alphonic.com.